This whole complex has allowed Ellwood to diversify its portfolio.
As the need for aluminum grows, Ellwood Group is turning its focus to the versatile metal. Jeff Nickel, Vice President of Sales for Ellwood Aluminum, expects the facility in Hubbard to be fully operational in August.
This is the actual first facility that they're putting in that actually produces now aluminum that helps them to diversify that portfolio. So what we're looking at here is the staging area, our outside staging area for the raw materials that we'll be using to actually melt them. We'll actually have prime aluminum that we have brought in terms of sows, and we'll also be bringing in secondary scrap that we'll be remelting for our ingot. We have each one of the scrap areas or the retained areas identified by an alloy, and that helps keep the traceability of that chemistry separate and controlled and identified at all times. We will move all the material needed for that chemistry from the area that we were just in into this large bin right here. And from this bin, the material will be moved down in front of the melter furnace and then pushed into the furnace itself for melting. So what we have here are two preheat furnaces that we use to actually preheat the pigs and sows that we're bringing in for melt. This gives us the opportunity that if there's any type of small amount of moisture somehow contained in those pigs, we can actually drive it off and evaporate it inside these preheat furnaces. This is the melting furnace. This is the first stage of melting that occurs. This is where a lot of the heavy melting is completed of the materials. This is where a lot of the alloying elements are first introduced to put all that chemistry together that we need. We will then transfer by trough to the holding furnace, which you can see behind me. Once we're at temperature, we will be fluxing and skimming in that furnace to make sure we have a pure melt ready to go. The holder will then lift up and begin transferring metal down the trough that you see behind me. It will go through a fluxing station right here where it's treated with argon to remove hydrogen and other impurities. It will transfer through a filtration system, a ceramic foam filter, and then from there it'll actually travel out to the actual casting table where it'll be melted into the ingots and solidified into the ingot diameters that we're casting. The company and its family ownership has brought a stability of strategy to all of Ellwood that looks for an investment that will last for the next generation.
Nickel says Ellwood Aluminum would primarily focus on supplying the automotive and aerospace industries. He says the company might have to wait for people to fly again, but he expects the automotive need to grow.
It's been evolving over the last 20 years, and I think will continue to evolve, where more aluminum is used for each vehicle that is produced than it was in the past.
The biggest challenges were preparing to reach capacity before opening and preparing customers to purchase products.
I'm soon going out to the customers and say, hey, by the third week of August, our commissioning phase is done and we're ready to take on orders.
The business grew pretty quickly.
Hubbard isn't the only area preparing for aluminum. Mark Kaiser, Ellwood Specialty Steel's Director of Sales, says the facility in Newcastle is preparing a site to distribute materials from Ellwood Aluminum.
We're going to house a lot of aluminum racking systems and whatnot for our bar and plate products for our aluminum business.
Currently, Ellwood Aluminum has 19 employees. Nickel expects that number to increase to 40 once the plant is operational. If the company reaches demand, it will enact Phase 2, which will bring on a second furnace.
In the short term, I want to be able to sell out Phase 1 as fast as I possibly can and allow Ellwood to expand then into Phase 2. Where we go beyond that, the sky's the limit.
For over a century, Farmers National Bank has stood strong. Through booms and busts, peaks and valleys, we've learned to know the seasons and how to grow in each of them. During challenging times, everyone is reminded of the value of solid relationships in both life and business. Farmers, stand strong.